today I will be bringing some fabulous hairstyles and crazy colours to you guys while I talk about how to save time, budget, and hopefully a little bit of your sanity with microlearning. Compliance is not a fun topic, but hopefully I will get you energized about it today. So a little bit about me. I am a learning and development digital specialist for a UK water retailer. I have about 20 years experience dabbling through training, mentoring, coaching, and now specialize in accessibility and digital learning. In my spare time, I'm also a qualified dog trainer and behaviorist. There are a lot of transferable skills between training people and dogs. I can assure you that training dogs is substantially easier than training people because they don't talk back very often. When I'm not doing both of those things, I do enjoy looming. And I don't mean the lurking kind where I sit behind you in the shadows. I mean the French knitting and traditional knitting style of looming. So with that in mind, let's get talking about some of our compliance. Again, not a fun topic. And way back pre-COVID, if people remember those times, we all used to get everyone together in a classroom or in the office, 2.5 hours a session, traipsing through the monotony that is compliance. People quite often didn't want to be there. People saw it as a tick box exercise, and engagement was low, to say the least. COVID hit, so we had to change up our way of doing things. We chose Absorb as our LMS, and they very kindly walked us through it. And with some of our Go One content that we borrowed from them, we managed to import some content into the LMS. Now, originally, these mirrored the face-to-face. So they were at least an hour long. They were text-heavy, death by PowerPoint, the kind of courses, sort of 1980s video style. Again, engagement was low, absolute nightmare to track engagement or even that anyone was paying attention. In comes microlearning. Everyone fed back to us that, too much information to take in, boring, blah, 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 blah. So we condensed it down to around 15 minutes per course. So what used to take us 3 to 4 weeks to onboard people, by the time you've got your induction, by the time you've got your walk around your office, by the time you've done your 5 to 10 compliance courses, by the time you've done your role-specific work, 3 to 4 weeks. Now, we've got it down to 3 hours and 9 minutes. Huge amount of time saved, huge amount of effort saved on my part as well, because I don't have to keep tricksing in the office and collecting attendance. Got a few images on the left. So as you can see, we did stagger how we introduced them. There was always going to be challenges from stakeholders saying, short content isn't as effective. We need to give them as much information as possible. It's not working. So slowly and surely, we've managed to get them down to about 15 minutes a piece. The good news with that is, once they've done their initial training, which is about 15 minutes, we then use the wonderful 7 Taps, who are kindly hosting this for me, to give even shorter sessions as a refresher every 2 years. So that is now down to about 3 to 5 minutes per course, a grand total of about 1 hour and 14 minutes. So much more time saved compared to the 3 or 4 arduous weeks we used to spend, not really paying attention and wondering when lunch was. Moving on. I've not forgotten about the cost savings. Time alone, if you think about the amount of time in terms of your resource planning and making, travel expenses to get people in the office, things like that, huge amount saved. I've got a lovely pie chart there, purposely with no figures, just to give you an idea. If you look under the tiny little pie chart that says others, that covers our credit control team. Now, a little story. We had 20 people that we were going to outsource some debt recovery to on an offshore team. We had 0 training. We had no access to systems. And the director went, "You've got 5 weeks, go." And we went, "Oh, crumbs, what are we going to do?" Microlearning was the answer. So not just about compliance, it can also be used for all your process-driven stuff as well. Given that we managed to do 34 separate processes, we managed to write them, design them, and implement them within 5 weeks. The whole induction for our offshore team, usually it's about 4 weeks. We managed to get down to 2, including all the compliance stuff. And we saved over £100,000 in those 5 weeks. So given that that is one of the smallest areas of the pie chart, you can see how those costs have helped us around the business as well. It can help with, all aspects of the ADDI things. So, a lot of the sort of resources we curate or pinch for other people. With 7 taps, it can take about 60 seconds to create a course very easily by, uploading a PDF or a PowerPoint or using AI to do it as well. So again, in terms of time, cost saving, they're paying me to do my job. I've now condensed sort of my main admin type job from 5 days into 1, which lets me dedicate my time to doing more enjoyable things that I like to do. How does that relate to the customer? So in terms of CSAT, pre-COVID, our NPS was at -76. Because we work in utilities, it's always going to be a challenge. When we started and first went online, it was at +7. And in the last 3 months alone, it's +8. And that's since we switched from a micro-learning to a nano-learning approach. So not only is it impacting our staff, it's also having a positive effect on our customers, because we're not taking people off the phones, away from their roles to try and do stuff. It's quick, short, sharp content. Not only that, is because we used to schedule half an hour in to do their learning. The content's only 10-15 minutes long. We've left that 15 minutes in for them to do whatever it is they need to do. They need to go to the loo, let the dog out, make themselves a cuppa, go and do a little bit more learning if they want to develop some soft skills. So we give them that time back. That has been so effective in terms of ESAT in our yearly surveys that we've now rolled that out across the business. We give everyone at least 1 hour a month to do stuff, which includes learning. So not only are they catching up on their compliance, which takes less than 25% of that hour, depending on what they've got on, they then have 45 minutes to go do some more learning, do development, catch up on their admin, their emails, go for a walk. And we're finding that that has a positive effect on everyone's well-being as well. Side note, also has a positive effect on my well-being, because I don't need to sit and nag account managers while they're out with clients to get their compliance done, because they've already done it, while they're traveling on a train or, 5 minutes before their meeting starts. So it's all done. So lots less nerves used for me as well. And everyone is happy. Don't take my word for it. We asked our audience. We always love feedback. We have a lovely feedback culture here at Wave. So, left-hand side is some of the comments we had when we had some of our lengthier content. I'm not going to read through them, but as you can see, not very flavorful. Since we moved to micro-learning, again, compliance isn't a fun topic, but as you can see from the feedback, everyone is absolutely happy. Some of the things I didn't put on there weren't safe for the wider audience, but let's just say some of the videos we use, some of the slang, gives people a giggle. It helps people remember the content as well. So short, sharp, punchy. Any Buffy fans out there? I'm a big fan of when Buffy asks Spike the vampire, "What are you doing here? 5 words or less." I am not going to tell you the answer to that because it's, again, not safe for a wider domain. But if you'd like to Google it, that's one of our mottos that we use here at Wave. What do you want? 5 words or less. And it just helps us really embed whatever message we're trying to get across to our learners. Just in terms of tracking, for any of you data nerds out there, again, pre-COVID, it was a case of, stick your finger in the air, see which way the wind is blowing. People, would turn up. We used to have, a sign-in sheet that, half the attendees forgot to sign, so you didn't know if they were there or not. trying to chase them up was an absolute nightmare. If they didn't turn up or phoned in sick, you then had to try and reorganize it again at a further cost to the business. Now, with our LMS and being able to integrate everything together, we have a lovely dashboard that we can track people's performance on. Not only that, we can send automated reminders so they get an enrollment email a month before their compliance is due saying, hey, your compliance is due. If you want to do it early, crack on. If not, we'll send you another email in a month. They then get the email, a reminder after 14 days. And then if they don't do it after the 28 days, we CC in their manager, and then their manager kicks them as well. So again, being able to integrate all the microlearning into one place allows people just to collaborate together, takes the stress off me, takes the stress off the learner, all working together. So before, we were roughly around 48%, and I say roughly because we had no real way of tracking that. We're now, as of last week, that is a real-time dashboard. Last week, we're at 98.2%, which I don't think is bad at all. And again, because of the lack of stress for me, I no longer have to chase people to do it. They are doing it automatically and being accountable for themselves. That obviously has a wide benefit. So we're now finding that people are self-serving. So normally, if anyone has to do compliance, you have to tell them they've got to do it. They kind of huff and grumble for a good 30 days. People don't want to do it. Now we're actually finding that people are saying, hey, can you roll in that early? I've got like 15 minutes spare after the end of this meeting. I'm going to crack on and do it. So again, being accountable, it's helping me because they're pressing the buttons themselves, doing it themselves, and I don't have to chase. And it also means that people are now coming to us with micro-learning requests. So, hey, I like that course. Can you do a course on insert topic here? And it's absolutely brilliant because whereas we found people had learner fatigue previously, people are now riveted, curious, and engaged with learning again and are coming to us for more content. So that is our micro-learning journey for compliance. There's a few hints and tips on the screen if you are looking to go down that route and condense some of your own content. But with that in mind, thank you very, very much for your time. And it's been an absolute pleasure today.
Jessica, that was fantastic. Can we get a massive round of emojis for that one? Because not only should you get a massive round of emojis for that from the audience here, but I have if your company and the employees did not throw you a parade, it's probably coming. They just haven't told you yet. Because honestly, as I was looking at the statistics of what you were doing and what you took it to, I mean, that's significant. I mean, that is even just in terms of, I always think about this from a finance standpoint of lost productivity cost, of how much time people had wasted on certain things that they didn't like doing, wasn't adding value. And then to bring that full circle is huge. So that well done to you and the team for all of that. So with the time we've got, some of the questions people had, I'd love to kind of dig into them with you as well. And similar to my own curiosity in all of this. So with compliance training, one of the questions that I'll ask the people's questions first, and then I'll get to mine. But so a lot of the questions were related to kind of measuring kind of the overall impact of this, which you highlighted some in terms of time reduction, which is huge.
Yeah, sure.
Overall feedback. Is there any effort or interest from the organization in terms of behavior change or things like that? Because sometimes that's tough, especially with compliance, because you're like, well, we don't want people doing that. So we aren't necessarily measuring, are you doing it? But I am curious, have you had to dabble in that with this one?
You know what, it's been phenomenal, and especially with things like cybersecurity, given the sector we work in, we are heavy to attempted attacks. So we originally, again, cybersecurity, it was about a 3-hour course. We condensed it in 1 hour 42. Still not good enough. So we've actually split it. So we do 15 minutes at the start, and then because they're so short and because we're giving people that time back that they would have originally spent, we're now doing embedding So for those who know the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve, you forget about
Okay.
80% of what you've
Yep.
learned after 24 hours. So micro learning and nano learning allows us to dip check that, and just feed people 2 or 3 minutes worth of reminders.
Okay.
And we have hosted some internal phishing attacks, and we've had, touch wood, no breaches in the last 12 months.
Okay.
Whereas before we were pretty, absent-minded, let's put it that way.
Yeah. No, that's well, and that's I think that's all the time the challenge when it comes to behavior change, when it comes to learning is like there are certain behaviors you can outline and you can say we're trying to change this behavior. Isolating, was it 100% the training or not? It's always like, well, we don't know, but we've got some indicators that it's at least if phishing attack failures had gone up,
Yeah,
that might
I'd
not
be
be a
concerned.
positive sign. People
Yeah,
might
I
go, I
mean,
think we need to do more.
sure. Another thing we're finding is, it's compliance, but people are actually going back in the course of their own accord to, check
Okay.
details, give themselves a reminder. So people are now self-serving. So that's another, behavioral change we're seeing
Yeah, I
where
mean,
people are
from a
doing out.
behavior change, which is again, I think that speaks a lot to what you've done because normally people aren't like, you know what, I want to go brush up on
Yeah.
compliance training.
Yeah, more GDPR, please.
Yeah,
Yeah,
more
exactly.
of that. So I think it's pretty awesome that you've been able to do all of that with it. Well, let me see. And then in terms of distribution, so are you using the LMS? You're using Absorb. Is that how you're distributing it? Are you putting like links out there? Is it going pushed out? Is it a mix? Because obviously people are pulling down themselves. How are you intermixing that?
Yeah, we're using our Absorb LMS to track everything. 7taps is fully integratable. So we use that their X API tin can to embed that LMS. So we still get all the statistics that they can carry. We can
Okay.
track how many times people are accessing, how long they're taking to access. So if it's a 3-minute course and they're taking an hour and a half, do they need extra support, or are they work avoiding? And need a nudge from the manager. So yeah, it's a really good way of tracking it. And our LMS's dashboards are really fully comprehensive. Use Power BI, can pull pretty much any data you like. So
Okay.
it's really useful to try and see what people are up to.
Awesome.